Hi folks, it's NEK Canoeist here, and I want to thank everybody for coming along today with me as we experiment with these old lanterns. Today I'm going to be experimenting doing the SOS signal with these lanterns. Now the SOS signal is Save Our Souls. It's an emergency distress signal. It is 3 dots and 3 dashes and then 3 dots again for a distress call. Now there's more information on the SOS signal on other places on the internet if you care to explore more about it. I don't want to get into the whole signal itself. I just want to experiment and see how well these kerosene lanterns, if I could actually produce a signal from a long ways away with one of these kerosene lanterns. Now the purpose of this is to see if I could produce this signal with a non-electrified source. I don't want to be using a head torch, anything that's electrified at all. I just want to strictly do it with an old-fashioned kerosene lantern, which is regular light source. So here today I have 2 different lanterns that I'm going to be using. The first lantern is an older, probably in the 50s, I would say about 1955. It's a C, E, and S railroad lantern. I don't know much about it. It's painted green. I believe it's British made, and it actually has the burner inside and a small lens. Okay, and I believe it's C and Eastlake and Sun. C, Eastlake, and Sun. So we're going to be using this lantern as an experimental lantern. Now I don't believe the lumens is as much as the other lantern. This other lantern is a much larger lantern, and it is a CT Ham number 2 Cold Blast. So this lantern is quite old. I would consider it probably in the early 1900s vintage. So we're going to experiment with both of these, putting out an SOS signal from a very long distance away. We'll be out of I won't be able to holler. You wouldn't be able to hear me holler, or if you did, it would be very faint. I'm not sure of the exact distance yet, but I will get that distance for you later on in my video when I get to the place where I'm going to shoot my video later on this evening when it gets dark out. To get into a little bit more on this, my distress signal that I'll be putting out, this one here, I will be able to put the distress signal by actually moving the lantern back and forth to put out the signal. This one here, because it's just going to be going out and producing light and diffusing everywhere, I'm going to actually cover the front and then actually block the light and then let the light go, and then block the light and then let the light go with something that I can find to actually block the light with. And that's how I will send the distress signal out from there. Now we're going to be very careful not to alarm anybody. I'm going to make sure obviously that we're not sending out a false distress signal, but we're going to target a certain area so that we're actually not putting out the distress signal to alarm somebody. So I'm going to be going to an area where I'm just targeting a small spot so nobody gets a distress call, an actual distress call. So this is just an experiment, and we're going to wait for it to turn dark, and then we're going to get going, and we're going to see how this all turns out. I don't even know myself how well, if these will be visible enough to have a to actually put out a distress signal, but we're going to find out. So stay tuned folks, and we'll be back later on, and we'll see how this all turns out. Hi folks, so I went out and I did my test, and I couldn't really narrate my test due to lighting, and you wouldn't be able to see me, and of course I was all the way down the field. So my wife actually ended up operating the camera, and I was down at the other end of the field, and I was approximately a little over a half a mile away, and my the footage did not come out on the camera, unfortunately. There was a little bit, and I'll show you what came out, but most of it didn't come out, so the lanterns weren't visible. And but to the naked eye, everything came out completely visible. In fact, I'm convinced that I could have been out a lot further, and I would have been able to actually do my SOS distress signal out even further than that with a good visual. Unfortunately, the camera just didn't pick up on it. So the one thing that I did learn from doing it is that getting the bleeps, getting the dots and the dashes, the sequence of it was a little bit difficult to do with the lantern. I used a bedroll, and I moved it up and down, and that's how I blocked the light for the one lantern. And the other lantern, I was actually just moving it back like this. But it is difficult, so it is something that you should practice. If you're going to try to do it with a signal mirror or something like that, do it in a place where obviously you're not going to actually send out a distress signal. But you know, it's a good knowledge to know if you're out in the wilderness, if you're out hiking or something like that, to know the SOS distress signal. So yes, a lantern can be done from a long distance away, so you can do it non-electrified. It just doesn't really show up well on the camera. So I hope you folks enjoyed it. Unfortunately, you didn't get to see much. I'm going to show you a little bit of it. You're actually going to see it after this part of my video, because it was just to throw it in the center and everybody been looking at just blackness. I mean, it would be actually crazy. So I'll show you a little bit of it, and I just want to say thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you on the trail.